It is Thursday, April 20th, 2023 at 9:42 a.m. Eastern Time, USA. I'm Mitch Miller. This is my video journal. So I'm going to do a debrief of my trip to Costa Rica. First of all, I want to thank the people of Costa Rica and Central America in general for their hospitality. It was a wonderful trip and a beautiful location. So we got to the resort. Oh well, first of all, the Miami-Dade Airport in Florida in the United States has many banks of pay telephones. So if you're thinking of flying to the United States to report white-collar crime or corruption, government corruption, I suggest Miami-Dade Airport. At least once you're in security, there are many banks of pay telephones. So we got to Costa Rica. Got to our resort. What, Zelda? Huh? You want to be on this video journal too? After lunch, I was able to put the USB drive with this video journal into the television. It was a little bit of a fight because the drive itself it has a switch that pulls the USB part back into its housing, and it's hard to get that into some of these TVs that have never had anything plugged into the port. No, Zelda! Hey! No! No! Do not scratch that! But I got it in. It did pop up a little menu on the TV saying, do you want to watch these media files? I tried to click on one of these video journals, but as with every television I've tried it in, this type of file, this .mov file, is not supported by the television. So Samsung definitely not, and a lot of other televisions have not supported those type of files. Doesn't mean they couldn't have been copied or downloaded or uploaded through the data network of that resort. Tried to establish ground communication. The television or the telephone in the room, you had to dial an operator who probably didn't speak much English, and all local and international calls were charged to the room. So I did have the calling card, but I aborted setting up ground communication in that way of calling my house phone here from the landline there. If money wasn't a factor, and if I was basically being compensated at a decent rate and knew that what I was doing was helping supercomputers and governments, I would take the extra step to do that. Instead, there was Wi-Fi all over the resort, and I used the Wi-Fi in different ways to try to establish some form of ground communication, even though it's wireless. I called the Nuclear Regulatory Commission from the Miami airport on the way to the resort, and when we went through Miami on the way back to Pittsburgh. What, Zelda? I know you've been neglected for so many days and you want attention, but let me do this and then we'll hang out, all right? So we did 3 excursions. One was a sunset cruise on a catamaran where we went snorkeling, had lunch, had unlimited drinks. Crew of 4 men from Costa Rica, great crew, took good care of us. tried to tip them all right, and it was a fun time. That was on Saturday. Then my dad and I booked the scuba diving trip for Sunday. So that got moved back. It was supposed to be at 8 in the morning. It got moved back to 1:30 p.m. Crew of 2 picked us up, dive master and boat captain. Boat captain had an amputation, a leg prosthetic. Dive master was a young guy, dove for 5 years, long hair like me, nice guy. He briefed us. It was 2 dives, 2 tanks. Briefed us as each dive. I kind of interpreted a little bit for my dad. He gave us some hand signals on how to signal for our air, how much air we had left in our tank, which my dad proceeded to forget when he was underwater. I remembered that as important. Both me and my father didn't have enough weight. The guy gave us more weight than what we said. He probably knew the salt level was higher. But we were able to get down to the bottom. I had some trouble clearing my ears, but I was able to clear them to get to the bottom. We dove around on the first dive, and my dad had trouble staying down, so the dive master had to swim up and yank him down to the bottom. Eventually the dive master gave him a weight off of his belt for my dad to put into his vest. Then about 20-25 minutes into the dive, I had trouble staying down. I think what happened was I originally thought I had breathed a lot of my air out of my tank and made me more buoyant. That may have played a factor, but also at a point I got above the dive master and my dad, and I believe that their bubbles from their breathing was catching in my BC because I kept trying to swim down. I could feel bubbles coming out of the back of my BC. So I almost went up to the surface, which could have been a disaster because it's a fairly busy bay, and I could have got hit by a ship. The dive master swam up and pushed me down to the bottom. When he did that, I didn't have time to clear my ears properly. I may have ruptured my left ear drum. I don't know. I definitely had water on. No, Zelda. Definitely had water on it. When we came up after that dive, it was about a 37-minute dive. Came up, got in the boat. He gave us pineapple. We had a cup of water. And my whole jaw lit up underwater when he pushed me to the bottom. So he, and when we got up there, I was telling my dad my ears messed up. It wasn't bleeding, which is good. It's still got a little pressure in it today. He said if you don't want to do the second dive, don't do it. So I decided to sit out the second dive. I tried pouring water in and stuff like the dive master said. But I dove with my dad, which was important, which was the point of the trip. I went scuba diving with my dad. It was a bucket list item for both him and me. I sat out the second dive. My dad went down and did the second dive at a different location. And then they came up after 30 minutes. Got some good pictures of my dad in his scuba gear. And yeah, it was good. But then after that, my dad got sick for the rest of the trip. Stomach issues, diarrhea. I had a little bit of that each morning for the rest of the trip. I don't know if it was the water, the salt water, the sewage, wastewater in the water in that bay. As I mentioned before, if we used our NASA budget to clean up all the wastewater before we sent more shit to the moon, that'd probably be a good thing, but we have our priorities straight, right, as a society. Anyhow, So that was the scuba dive. My dad was sick the next day on Monday for our excursion to the waterfall in the rainforest. So it was just me, Hillary, and my mom. I took some Imodium and we went. Dad was out sick all day. The other thing I want to mention, in the bay, the Snake Bay there where our resort was, there was a large yacht docked there for most of the time we were there. After the scuba trip, that ship left the bay. So the supercomputers may have been able to hack into the equipment on that ship and analyze it for any future type of situations like Operation Oligarch that I've talked about. Again, I was hoping to be approached there at the resort, but that didn't happen. I'm not holding my breath for the military or the government to take action. Continue. Today was the deadline, so tomorrow I'll do a podcast about the Boudica project, the nonprofit for solar panels, and move forward with encouraging people to book campsites at French Creek Farms for my employment this summer. So the Monday excursion was good, and then Tuesday we just stayed at the resort. We were supposed to kayak, but that got canceled. And yesterday we flew back. That was pretty much the trip. Got to go out in the countryside a little bit. Got to go out on a boat out of Cocoa Beach, and had my phone with me on both of those occasions. Cellular data turned off. I don't know if it was able to be tracked with satellites or with wireless ground communication. Only the supercomputers probably know that. Also, my father said that might have been his last dive. He's mobility issues with his knees, his shoulders, and his weight situation. So got that. I wouldn't mind diving again and learn my lesson with the bubbles, maybe in Florida. So I might encourage him to go diving in Florida at some point. But my ear does concern me, and it's a little bit dangerous. But overall, the trip was good. It's difficult traveling with your parents. They're not great travelers like Hillary, and anybody that's been on a trip with their parents, it can wear on your nerves a little bit. But overall, it was good. It's a shame my dad couldn't eat or drink those last 2.5, 3 days, but we were worried it was neurovirus and that we were going to get it, so we kept our distance. But could have just been the water, the salt water, stuff like that. So talked to a few random people. There was Steve and Shane. So met a couple of people, and there was a couple from Eastern Europe that we played volleyball with. Again, Hillary gets paid to speak to people all day long, so her idea of a vacation isn't socializing and talking to people. She just wants to kind of relax, read books, surf on her phone, and not be super socially engaged because has to talk all day at work. And I don't blame her. After the pandemic, I'm not as social of a person as I used to be, but I'm glad we talked to some people there. And overall, good trip. Join me possibly later today when I talk about some other stuff, or tomorrow when I do another segment. And thanks for watching.